This is the Successful Archi Students podcast, episode 21.
So you're an Archi student. You're smart, you're creative, and heck, you're ready to take on the world with your crazy designs. Before you get to that point, however, you need to build up the habits and the knowledge and the skills of a successful architect. And what most students don't realize is that you don't learn these things over time. Rather, you learn these things through experience and deliberate practice outside of your university education. My name's Kyle, I'm an Archi student just like you, and I'm committed to being successful, no matter what it will take. And I'm hoping you're ready to take that journey with me as you listen to the Successful Archi Student podcast.
Welcome to episode 21 of the Successful Archi Students podcast, guys. Today I've got a special episode for you. I interview Serena, who is a first-year architecture student from Lebanon. What's most important about this, though, is that she's really sharing some ideas from her first semester, and I really dig deep into what are some of the things that she struggled with and some of the things that she really enjoyed from first semester. And I also talk about some of the things that she's looking forward to in the future and all this kind of stuff, all these helpful tips and stuff for any high school students looking to get into architecture, or any architecture students in general who are looking for some tips or some advice moving forward in their architecture. So I'm really excited to share this with you. This is about a 30-minute interview, so if you don't have time to watch it now, please do come back and watch it, because it's going to be so valuable to you and you're really going to enjoy the interview. Saying that as well, if you guys want to be in an interview, I'm always happy to bring people onto the show, other students. If you're a high school student all the way through to a practicing architect, I'd love to have you on the show. And I'm really looking forward to hearing from you. So without further ado, I'm really excited to bring on Serena to the show. So let's get straight into this. Hey, what's up, Archi students? Welcome to another show of the Successful Archi Students podcast. Today I'm here with a very special guest, Serena. What's up, Serena?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
Awesome. I'm really good, thank you. I'm absolutely loving life right now. Go back to uni next week. I'm so excited. All right, so Oh yeah. It's a real pleasure to have you on the show, though, Serena. I really do appreciate you. It's my pleasure. So I really wanted to get to know a bit more about you and your story, because in the emails you were sending me, you were saying you're still fairly new to architecture. You're going into your second semester coming up, I believe. Could you tell me a bit more about what got you into architecture and why you decided to be an architect?
Actually, I thought about architecture when I was like 15. I just loved the idea of creating something, like designing, and especially that I wanted to like put my mark. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's how I first started thinking about, like, I want to get into architecture, and then it just stuck with me. The idea just stuck with me, and I didn't love anything else as much as I did for architecture. So I guess this is how it started.
That's awesome. I think I was kind of in the same boat. I was 15 years old and my brother mentioned that he's like, oh, you'd make a good architect. I had no idea about it, no idea what an architect did, and I kind of just stuck with it because of that one sentence that he said to me one day. So, but I really enjoyed it, so I'm glad he did say that.
You love it more when you search about it, and when you see the amazing work of the big architect. It just inspires you.
It does. It really does. So how are you finding it so far? Is it kind of what you expected?
Yes, for sure, because I did do my research, but it's so tiring. It's a lot of work, but it's worth it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And going back, because you're in your second semester, let's say you were starting your first semester again. Is there anything that you wish you would have known or wish you had done before starting that semester?
Well, yeah, I wish I did I wish I had known about AutoCAD and 3D Max and Revit, all of these before starting. I wish I learned them before architecture, because right now there's not much time. So that's the only reason. That's the only thing I wish I would have done before architecture.
I think that's super important as well. A lot of high school students always ask me that question. They said, if you could go back, what would you
want, or what would you wish you had known? And I always say having those skills just in SketchUp or Revit or anything,
Yeah,
having those
also
skills beforehand.
yeah, also like the drawing skills. I wish I had like developed it more before architecture. Although
Yeah.
it's not that much. I don't know if I can say that, but it's not that much important. Like to be like super artistic.
Yeah, I think, yeah, that's a bit of a misconception because, yeah, a lot of students, they're saying like they think they need to be really good at art or hand drawing. And so they'll spend all this time on that. And that's kind of driving away from the fact that you just got to go to architecture school and you'll learn all of it along the way.
Yeah, it's true. The first thing my doctor said, like the doctor said to us when we got into architecture, they were like, "Don't think of yourself as like actual artists. Like you do not need to be like artists in your drawings, like because it's not that important." And I was shocked at first, but then like after you get into architecture, you'll understand that.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be a bit of a shock because I remember going in my first semester and you think everything has to be perfect. You have to be really good at hand drawing and all this stuff. And then it just kind of blows over you that you just got to do quick sketches and all this stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
So as you look back over your first semester, what do you think was the most challenging thing? Like, what did you struggle with the most, or what did you find the most difficult during that first semester?
Well, definitely like design studio was like super challenging because it was extremely new. Like I've never done something like that, and I've never like you never like really understand the process of it until you work on it. You know what I mean? And I wish like design studio doctors like don't give you 100%. Like they give you 1%. And you have to search for the 99 of, you know? So that was, design studio was definitely challenging. But yeah, but it's fun and it's worth it after you finish your project.
What you said about that though, how it's, yeah, they give you only probably the 1% and then you're on your own for the other 99. What are some of the things that you do? I guess because it's so important to learn by yourself and keep on practicing outside of university. What are some of the things that you do in your own free time to do that?
Well, actually, I watch a lot of YouTube videos, especially like on your channel. I've like spent Sunday night like literally watching all of your videos, and I actually really love them.
Oh, thank you so much.
I've watched like a lot of videos on how to do sections, elevations, like these things. Like you need to like learn on your own. If like your professors do not give you 100% what you need to like get from them, like you need to do your own research, and that's what I do like on my free time or like on the other side, like outside of university. Like I have to know like everything.
Yeah.
So I can accomplish my project. So I definitely go search for the things I need to know. And I also like have an architect friend, so I definitely ask her a lot.
That's a really good resource to have.
I'm reading books also about architecture.
Yeah. What are some of the favorite books?
Form, Space, and Order.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a good one.
Is that Francis D.K. Ching that wrote that book?
I actually do not remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember the name.
I'll have to look that one up and put it on the screen afterwards because that is a great book.
It is. It's the most like most important book I think, like for the architecture student.
And actually, while we're on that topic, what are some of the other YouTube channels you watch? Because that would be really helpful for some architecture students as well.
I'll look it up. Actually, like the thing is, I don't really remember the names of like the channels I watch.
Yeah.
Like I just choose a topic and like click on whatever video that pops in.
Yeah. And that's the way to go. If you've got a question, just write it into YouTube or Google, and then it's like having a mentor right next to you.
100%.
Yeah, so while you look it up, some of the ones I watch is Let's Show It Better. I don't know if you've seen them on YouTube or Instagram or anything like that. I can't remember the name of the guy that runs that page, but he's really good and he puts out a lot of great content. And then there's the Architecture Student blog. He's got a YouTube channel now as well. His name is Josh that runs that page, and he's got an Instagram page and all that as well. So they're a couple ones to check out if people are listening to this.
There's this guy that I watch almost all of his videos. It's called Leon Austria, I guess.
Oh, that's it. Yeah. I've seen a few of his videos. I'd love to get him on the podcast, actually, one day. I think that'd be cool. Yeah. So, yeah, if he's watching this, he should definitely send me an email. Cool. So I'll go into the next question. When I was going into my first year, I remember one of the biggest fears I had was not knowing what equipment I needed or kind of what kind of architecture, like pencils or rulers or all this kind of stuff. Do you mind letting us know kind of what the items you bought were and what you think is necessary and what you think are some of the things that you haven't used and that an architecture student doesn't find essential?
Well, what I've bought, our professors suggested we get technical pens for sure, and the T ruler, scale ruler, compass, because we're still not allowed to use our computers.
Oh.
So yeah, I know that's a big struggle. What else? Well, these are the essential ones.
Yeah, I agree completely. Do you think it's quite common that most architecture universities, because I think in my first year we were allowed to use computer and computer-aided design. However, they were more driving us towards hand drawing and these kind of skills that don't require a computer or laptop. So saying that, do you reckon it's if you could, do you reckon you could do, say, like a SketchUp design and still get marked well for it? Or would they just say, no, it's only hand drawing?
Well, I do get a lot of redos.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good thing that we first do not use computers at first, because I kind of think it's essential, to know how to work with your own hands. You know? And then later on, during second year, we are allowed to use computers. So, but yeah, I do think it's essential at first to not use computer and to just do it by yourself. I think it's important at first.
And saying that, did you have any, I guess, art background or hand drawing skills before starting architecture, or did you pick them up along the way?
Well, my dad used to draw, so I got this habit from him, and I did not develop it until 1 year before applying to architecture. I because I thought, well, it's so important to have drawing skills. So I tried to practice more and more, and it's gone a lot better than the first time I drew, of course. And I'm still trying to work on it, even though it's not the first thing, the first skill you need to have as an architecture student. But yeah, I still practice on it, and no, I did not pick it right now. It's something that I've been working on from 2 years ago.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of makes me think as well, because I remember when I was going through architecture, when I was 15, I wanted to be an architect, and I thought it was just all hand drawing and you have to be really good at art and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, I think it really is. You just pick it up along the way, and
you have to practice by your own.
Exactly. So yeah, you decided on architecture when you were 15, like myself. However, I guess because you've stuck it out that long, what was that, 4 years ago or so? Are you 19 years old?
Almost I'm like, I'll turn 20 tomorrow, actually.
Oh, there you go. Happy birthday for tomorrow.
Thank you.
Oh, that's awesome.
Thank
Oh, so I think you're exactly 1 month. Your birthday's exactly 1 month. What is it? After me. So that's cool.
you. Late birthday.
Yeah. um, anyways, you obviously stayed motivated or you're stuck on studying architecture for the past 5 years then. And so a lot of students, I guess, struggle with losing motivation, or they'll think that they're not going to make it. They don't have the confidence in themselves that they're going to be able to keep going. But obviously, if you've stuck it out for 5 years, then anyone else can do that as well. So I guess what kind of advice would you have for someone who's saying to themselves that they're not that good enough for architecture, or it's something that they're not going to be able to pursue?
Like, honestly, after thinking about architecture, I had this image of myself, like, after 10 years of what I want to be. And that really helped me, really motivated me. Like, I have this certain image of myself that I want to be in like 10 years. And that's like the biggest motivation ever for me was literally like, just like you picturing yourself in the future, how you want to be, what you want to be, what you want to do, what you want to give to others, like from this job. It just really helps you. Like, it really motivates you.
I completely agree with that, because that's something that I've been trying to talk about a lot as well. Because, just like I want to actually quickly ask: do you write down your goals, and like, do you kind of do any visual?
Yes,
Yeah.
I do. Yes,
Yeah.
and it helps. It really does help.
Yeah.
Even like I have like the simplest thing to do. Like I just like write down what I want to do, and like just at the end, like I check. Like this gives me a really good feeling.
Yeah. I completely agree with that. I think that's so important as well, because as an architecture student, you're so creative and you're so like you've got a great imagination of this stuff, and so it's really kind of goes hand in hand in the fact that you can kind of conjure up this idea of the future, and then you can envision yourself doing that, and it really does drive you forward to achieving it.
Yes,
So
I agree 100%.
yeah, and do you ever, like, once you write a goal, I guess, do you ever refer back to it? Is it kind of like a daily thing that you go over, or do you just kind of think about it whenever you're feeling demotivated or unmotivated, whatever that word is? Or is there a way you go about that?
Yeah, I constantly remind myself like of this idea. Like I constantly, like especially like during like the end of the project, I'm just extremely tired. Like just want to rest. Like I don't know want to finish. So I just like take like 10 minutes break, sit with myself, like remind myself like why am I doing this? What do I want to accomplish? Just like you need this time of yourself, like just to remind yourself what you're doing, why you're doing what you're doing, and that just like really helps you.
I love that. No, I really do, because that's something I do myself. And whenever I feel like I'm not motivated to finish my project, or I just don't want to get out of bed or something like this, I'll grab a piece of paper and my pen, and I'll just start writing kind of what I see myself doing in the future. And I think it's also really important to reverse engineer your goals into like a practical plan as well. Do you do any like daily planning or scheduling, I guess, or not, doesn't have to be daily, but I guess in the sense that you reverse engineer your goals of being an architect into kind of a routine of some sort, if that makes sense?
Well, I actually don't have a routine yet.
Yep.
Like, I still think like I'm still trying to figure everything out. Like because the first semester was really hectic, was really crazy, something extremely new. So that's why like I go on and ask other architecture students like, what's your routine? Like, what's your plan? Like, how do you do this? And like, how do you like just have everything on time? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm like trying to figure everything out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what first year's all about, in my opinion anyway. I think it's just great just to throw yourself in there, and then talk to other students and make friends and just get comfortable in architecture. I think that's what it's all about.
Yes, definitely. I'm still like trying to like be friends with the like fifth year, but like they're never at university. Like I think they're just out there in the world. Probably like doing stage.
So in your first year, can you tell me what were some of the subjects you did? And for someone who's in high school looking to study architecture, what would they expect to study in their first semester?
Well, we have history, law, design studio for sure, math, theories, art. What else? Descriptive.
Could you explain what descriptive is?
Descriptive. Well, it's geometry.
Oh, okay.
Yes, like turning 3D objects into 2D objects. Like
So
how you in any object, how do you show it on a paper?
that's cool. And did you do any? It's not hard.
It's harder than it sounds like.
Yeah. I think that's a lot of things in first year when I first started just scared the crap out of me. Just all these kind of technical terms and all this like 3D perspective drawing and stuff. But you pick it up along the way. It's not that hard in the end.
Yeah. No, it's not that hard. It's just because it's new at first. So like you have to accept the idea that like this is it. Like yes, it's something completely new that you've never seen, and but it's really interesting and fun, actually. So yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So I want to go back onto the topic of books because I love reading. Do you have any other books other than, it doesn't have to be architecture related, but obviously at this age, I've only probably read a handful of books, not that many. So I don't know, I don't have a massive library of books, but do you have got any books that you want to read or that you have read that you think would be helpful for other students?
Actually, I haven't read that much architecture books, but I did see a book that really like got my attention the other day. I was at the library and I saw the name of the book probably was Architecture in the United States. I just loved the architecture there, so it really got my attention. I just like suggest probably, I guess, that we see like other architects' work that will really inspire us. It definitely did inspire me.
I think that is important as well, just to go out and see other architecture, because so many people struggle to come up with a concept or an idea for their own projects, but you can get so many ideas from just looking at other people's work and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah. It definitely helps.
100%. So I'm going to go into a bit of a fire round here and just ask you a couple of short questions. So who's your favorite architect?
Saha Haddad.
Yeah. And what's your favorite building? Would it be one of hers?
Well, there's actually a building that's still like under construction here in my country, Lebanon. It still hasn't been finished, but it's really good. It's in Beirut Souks, and it's weird. Like it's not something like the country is familiar with. You know what I mean? Like it just stands out.
Yeah. Was that one of Saha Haddad's works?
Yes.
Yeah. And do you know the name of that building or?
No, actually.
Yeah, no, I'm terrible with names of buildings. So, next question. It was, do you have a favorite architecture-related book or a book you want to read? But you've already answered that.
Yeah.
So, if you could give one tip to someone starting or looking to start architecture, something that would change the way that they progress from high school student to, transition from high school student to university students studying architecture, what kind of piece of advice would you give to them?
To really read about architecture first, to read a lot of books, search about it, to go and talk with architecture students or like architects that have already graduated. They will like, you'll see like how it feels like, how it's like, because architecture is like not easy. So you definitely need to learn about it just so you have like an idea when you do start your first semester. You know, like you need to explore that before you go into the first semester, because some people may drop out. Like I have friends that they actually think about dropping out. Yeah.
Yep. I have a lot of friends that haven't made it through the first couple of years, and I've seen, well, I had a friendship group probably, I think there were 8 of us, and then just over time, I think there's probably 2 or 3 of us left. So I think that's also important, because I wrote it down somewhere, the actual statistics, but I think it's like 15% of students get accepted into university to study architecture, and then it's 7%.
Like you only get into architecture.
Yeah.
Like, actually,
Yeah.
I'm an architect.
Exactly, and it goes on, and yeah, I think it's less than 1%. Yeah, and it's scary when you think about it, but it just shows that
really challenging, and like you have to really work for it.
Definitely, and that's the thing; it's competitive.
Yeah, definitely.
But then saying that, I like to think that group work is also really essential, and having a team around you of people who can help you and you can help each other to succeed. I guess that's why I'm doing this kind of page and all that kind of stuff, because I think it's so important just to help each other out, because that's the yeah. Actually, on that topic, with group work, did you have any group work in the first semester?
Yeah. Yes.
And
second project was actually group work.
Could you tell me a bit about how that goes? Because a lot of students kind of don't really like group work, but can we get a gist of what it's like in first year group work?
Well, it was the group work was actually like we were 4 in the group, and everyone like each one of us had like a specific idea. So like there had to be a lot of understanding, and I don't know how to explain it. It was difficult at first, but then it got really easy. And like you just have to understand each other and like see this point of view. It'll work out.
Because the way I remember first year is that you'd have a group of 4. One person wouldn't show up to any classes. One person would be late 90% of the time. And then you'd have one other guy who just didn't do any work. But yeah, I think group work is essential to being successful in the end.
But it's very difficult also, honestly.
Yeah. And that's good advice for first year students, that to master the art of group work and teamwork is going to be helpful. All right. I'm going to ask you one last question before we go, because we're almost hit the 30-minute mark. And it's been an absolute pleasure to have you. There's been a lot of fun. The time flew like nothing because of how much fun I'm having right now. So if someone wants to connect with you, are you on Instagram or LinkedIn or anything like that?
Yes, I do have an Instagram.
Yep.
Serena Rakha.
I'll put the links in the description and all that stuff. So if someone wants to reach out to you, they can do that.
Thank you.
Cool. And finally, is there anything that you want to talk about or share with high school students who want to study architecture, or someone in their first year of architecture that you want to let them know? Or is there anything that you feel like I've missed in this interview?
No, but I just want to say, like, you have to really know if it's your passion or not, because otherwise you don't want to be wasting your years, you know? Because, like, we've already said that it's a very difficult major. It's definitely requires a lot of work and a lot of time. So like it should be your passion if you're like doing architecture.
I completely agree. Serena, thank you so much for being on the show. You are the second architecture student to be on here, and it's an absolute pleasure. It's been a joy.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure, absolutely. All right, take care, Serena. Have a good night or day, wherever you are.
Thank you so much.